Hey guys, Kevin for the original Season 3, Episode 15, An Old Friend Calls, and I was really looking forward to this episode, mainly because I don't really think I realized what happened last week. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I totally did not understand that Davina, broke Klaus's sire line. I didn't realize that the show actually did that, which I shouldn't be surprised by, because when the show says it's gonna do something, it usually sticks with it, and usually things succeed, so I'm not surprised that, Davina broke it. I mean, I can't believe it happened, but I think that's probably, for whatever reason, that was something that I just didn't get last week, so I'm going to say that right off the bat. And I'm also going to say, I think this was the first episode of the season that wasn't perfect. Look, it was still a great episode. There were some really great things about this episode, but there are some things that I don't really know where exactly we're headed with the rest of the season. I'm going to get into that, but let's just get into this episode, because like I said, I think it was the first one that wasn't perfect, but I do have a lot of things to say about it. Now, I did like really the way this episode started, though, because we start with Klaus unlocking a safe and pulling out this wooden box. He opens it, and we see letters. Elijah says that they have to hide it from the enemies for a time, and explains it to Freya. And Klaus says he used to be safe there, but now that, that the sire line is broken, he's at risk, because now, his sire line, he's worried he's going to come after him. And then basically, Freya saying that he's paranoid. Elijah says that that's his default. Elijah said they destroyed all the white oak and recommends he see a therapist, and of course, his therapist in the past has been Cami, but you really do see in this episode that things have changed because of that. And he leaves and Freya asks Elijah if he's sure about the White Oak, and I like the direction we're headed with Klaus, because now if you kill Klaus, it won't have any repercussions on you. You're not going to die as well, because of the fact that, his sire line is there no longer is a sire line. Nobody is linked to him. So now it would make sense that a lot more of his sire line are going to come after him and try to kill him, because it won't, do anything to them. They're not at risk of dying if they kill him, which definitely does change a lot of things and makes it a lot more interesting. So I really do like that. So Cammy works the bag while Vincent holds it. She's worried if Aurora will come for her once she's out of whatever hellish place Klaus stashed her in. And this was the part that I'm like, I don't know. This I didn't really like as much, because of the fact that Aurora, as we know, is supposed to be defeated. I mean, she's in this place, and for whatever reason, Cammy thinks that she's going to get out and come after her, and she's furious he didn't kill Aurora, and Vincent asks if she's scared or jealous. Klaus showed it up and asked to speak to her alone. And Davina's there when Cole wakes, and she says that he's been asleep for 3 days, and he says coming back from the dead is exhausting. He says he wants to kiss her, and it turns out the sunlight for him is not a problem, we see. He says that she brought him back as he was in this body where he died. He's a vampire, and he confirms to her that he was a psychotic maniac when he was a vampire, but he didn't have her then, and she goes to him and kisses him, and she's kind of broken this, maniac side of him. Cole asks her to put a ring on his finger so he can attend a family reunion, and we see that she tells him that Klaus will kill her. He holds her close. Marcel wakes Josh up and mentions and basically he holds her close, and I gotta say, I like Cole and Davina. I do like them overall. I think it's interesting to see the way that this is playing out. I kind of would have wanted this to go in a different direction. I wanted them to go in the direction of maybe Cole and Davina not clicking as much, and it seems like they click very well, and that's like the thing about this episode that didn't work as well for me, is this whole thing with Cole and Davina. Just for me personally, it didn't really work as well as it could have. I like the idea of him coming back, but I think just them clicking as well as they did right away, not really having any problems, that did not work as well for me. I definitely will say that. So Marcel wakes Josh up, mentions the mess at the loft, and Josh says they were celebrating the link breaking, and Marcel says that the Strix are upset because they're still linked to Elijah, and two Strix show up, upset that 3 of their numbers are missing. Marcel asks how the Strix punish insubordination. He asks if they want to check the charter, and he leaves to help them find the missing. And I was pretty sure the Strix were done. I mean, I don't know why we're still in the Strix. I understand that Marcel is the leader of the Strix, and he can't really get out of it, but this is really prolonging the Strix, which I don't really think they needed to do. So Elijah comes to see Hayle, says he thought that she was in the bayou, and he spots blood in her head, and she says that it's a thorn. He remarks that she's with the Crescents a lot lately, and she says that they need her. He says he just came to check on Hope since Klaus is distracted, of course. He has no time to check on Hope because he's terrified. And Hayle says that every time they pause, someone comes at them. She asks him to watch the baby and leaves after he consents. And Cammy then counsels Klaus and basically he leaves after, she consents. So He can tell that there's something definitely going on with Hayle because obviously she's just as paranoid as Klaus, and it's very interesting to see. I like the way that this is going. So Cami counsels Klaus on his fears. He said he hates feeling helpless. He says Michael was pursuing him and then disappeared. He says he lived in fear every day, then he daggered the others and disappeared. And Cami says he doesn't want to be that person anymore. She says she can't be his therapist, then says that she has issues of her own. And I thought this was very interesting. You've really seen this episode, the dynamic between Klaus and Cami is changing, which has not come out of nowhere. I mean, we've seen ever since she's a vampire, she's been very different, and she's furious that he let Aurora die. He says he's making Aurora suffer for Cami, and she doesn't buy it and walks away. She thinks that he's doing it on his own terms, which in many ways I think he is. He did what felt best for him to do. He didn't kill her, and that's why she's really upset about it. So, because I'm pretty sure that Cammy wanted to be the one to kill Aurora, and I honestly did want Cammy to be the one to kill Aurora. Now, it makes sense why Klaus had to kill her, but, you know, she's mainly upset because she did not get to kill her own, and that's like the one thing that Cammy's really wanted, and now that Klaus hasn't done that, obviously she's quite pissed about it, you can tell. So, basically, Klaus then sees a vampire Cortez on the streets, and he goes back and tells Elijah and Freya about Cortez, and, obviously, he's really worried about Cortez, because Cortez was someone that was in his sire line, and now he's thinking that Cortez is coming to kill him, and I gotta say, the one thing with Cortez that the actor that played him, I don't know, I didn't think he was that great. I definitely will say that. I think the actor playing him is okay, but just Cortez in general, I don't really see as much of a threat. I definitely will say that. We see Cortez get out of a limo. He ate and left several women in the back and compelled them to burn the limo and them alone. And, I mean, it's pretty crazy what he did, but we've seen things like this before. Davina shows up then, and Klaus threatens her, and obviously he's saying, you know, why did she come alone? But Cole tells him that she didn't come alone, throws him across the piazza, and Klaus is stunned. Davina says the power brought him back, and obviously he's shocked to see Cole. I mean, he thought that Cole was dead, and Davina says the power brought him back. Cole says he should thank her. Klaus hugs him warmly. Cole hugs back. Elijah stares at him, says he hasn't aged a day. Freya states Cole doesn't know her, and he says long lost older sister, which is true. Cole's never really seen Freya before. And then he asks for Rebecca, and Klaus says that's for family only, and says Davina will leave. Cole threatens to rip his head off, and Davina says that she'll go. He says he can make it up to her later. He says they'll go dancing together. He kisses her, and she goes, and obviously they're going to explain to him what's happened with Rebecca. So Marcel then finds Elijah waiting on him. He asks to have his best men on it, and Marcel says his best men are missing, and Elijah asks if he has any leads. Strix says that they need to find the head of this before they burn the city down, and basically that's what they need to do. So Vincent's working out when a man shows up, hands him this card saying his presence is requested immediately, and this kind of comes out of nowhere. He says no, the man stabs himself in the neck. Vincent runs to save him, but it's too late. He goes, and obviously he's very confused. I mean, he just got this card out of nowhere that this man gave him. Then that man just killed himself for no reason, so he really has no idea what's going on and why this man needs his assistance. So Cole sits reading letters from the box. Elijah says that Cole just got there in time to help clean up Klaus's mess. He asks if he misses being dead yet, and Klaus hands him a glass of blood. He says no more fresh after this. Cole says he can help him murder his enemies. Then he's going back to Davina, and Cole says he knows how to find them, and if he can teach Freya a quick spell, he says he needs to use the letters. Vincent then goes to the restaurant and finds people sitting quiet and frozen, and Cortez says he likes silence when he eats. He says he knows he's regent of New Orleans, and Vincent calls him a psycho, says he'll enjoy killing him. Then compelled men move to kill the diners, and Vincent stops. He asks what he wants, and Cortez says he's looking for something that was lost in the city, and he says he wants him to ask the witch ancestors about it, and Marcel gets a call about, so now we know pretty much what he wants, that, you know, something was lost in the city, and he needs, you know, Vincent's assistance for that. Now, we don't know who that man was, though, that just killed himself. We have no idea who he was. So Marcel gets a call about someone else missing. Josh comes in, and Marcel says another Strix is gone and asks him to get to Vienna to help. And Josh is not liking the Strix thing. He says Marcel says it's a club for life, and, you know, Josh thinks he's getting too attached. But I like that Marcel says that, you know, you basically, if you die, you're part of the Strix till you die, pretty much. And obviously, that's pretty much how it is. He never will be able to get away from the Strix, unfortunately. So Josh goes to Davina, who agrees to help. He spots her dress, asks if she has a hot date, and she tells him the Cole's back is an original, says she forgot that part of it, and basically, Josh says as long as she loves him, she says she's figuring things out, which, you know, I like that he says, look, as long as you love him, I'm fine with it, because he wasn't sure if she loves this part of Cole, and she says that she's trying to figure this out. And I don't know, Davina figuring things out, just like I said, it's not really working as well. I don't like that these two click very well already. She works the spellies. She says all of his friends are dead, the taken Strix. Cole says they mix the ashes with Klaus's blood and can't find his enemies. And he teaches Freya, who works the spell. He tells Freya to try hard. She does, and the blood spreads in many directions. There are several spots on the map that Freya calls his greatest hits and says only one is here, so that should calm his paranoia. And that he shouldn't be worried, because obviously Klaus is very worried, and he shouldn't be. So Cami comes to the bar, finds Jamie the bartender in a daze. She notices Vincent chanting, and Cortez says don't disturb him. She asks if he's the guy behind the mess at the gym. Cortez tells her to behave or the humans die, and Vincent then comes out of his trance, says leave her out of this. Vincent says he'll find the White Oak, but leaves her alone. He goes back to chanting, and Cammy then texts to warn him, because obviously, she knows that Cortez is part of Klaus's sire line, and Cortez slams her into the wall, snaps her neck, and obviously, Klaus is gonna come after Cortez. So Vincent tells Cortez that Aurora hit it, but the ancestors tell him where, and he says that they won't help him. Cortez threatens him, says don't take no for an answer. He stares at Cammy's limp form, then starts chanting again, and Elijah meets Marcel, who shows them the dumpster of Strix. They were tortured and torn apart by wolves, and Marcel says that the Strix would want the head of who did this, and Elijah tells him to burn the bodies and walks away. So who did this? We don't know who did this, obviously. We don't know who was the one that could have done this, and obviously, whoever did this, the Strix are definitely going to come after. So Hayle is another Strix, and he goes to hack her up. When Elijah shows up, asks what she's doing. She beheads her, and Vincent chants loud, and Cammy comes to and goes to him. So basically, Hayle, it seems to be the one that's doing this, and it would make sense. I mean, the Strix, they're the one that came after Jackson, and she's still going after them because of it. Obviously, Elijah knows he can't really control her. So Vincent chants loud. Cammy comes to and goes to him. She says he won't get what he wants if he kills him, and Vincent collapses, and Klaus is there, shouts his name. He says, long time no see. Cortez says everyone there will die if he moves. He says either way he wins. Cortez says they all live once he lets him leave, and Klaus says some vampires get him in age, and Klaus throws a stake at Cortez, then raves to snap the necks of those who threaten the others, and Cortez yanks the stake out of his gut after Cammy storms out, and basically, Klaus knocks him down, breaks the chair to get another stake. Hayle tells Elijah that she will take out all the Strix who took her and Jackson. He says, think about hope, and she says, don't try it. She says she took risks for him and owes Jackson that. And the stake in Cortez isn't lethal, and Klaus yanks him up. He asks how he did know about the White Oak, and Cortez says that those who hate Klaus stay in touch, and he says it started as a rumor on a private message board. He says he's confirmed the White Oak rumor already, and says he'll die filled with joy. He says they're coming, and, his sire line is going to come after him, and obviously, this just paranoids Klaus even more, because obviously, he's already terrified at the fact that his sire line is going to come after him, and he really doesn't know what to do, and just, this message from Cortez especially concerns him after what he's hearing. So we then see that Cortez says those who hate Klaus stay in touch. He says to start, I just read this. So Cole and Freya then see the blood drops that represent his enemies begin to migrate toward them. Freya says it never stops, and Cortez says his enemies will come, reclaim the White Oak, and kill him, and Klaus knocks his head off, and I think Klaus knows it's true, but he just doesn't want to hear it. He's already paranoid, and he doesn't want to be more paranoid. So Klaus goes home, checks out the map, and it's dire news. Cole says that hindsight says be nicer. Elijah says he has an army trying to keep him alive, and only those in the ring protect him, and Elijah tells Klaus that there's another way. Freya asks if he'll run, and Klaus says he doesn't run, but he does disappear, and Klaus says they will make that possible. They have the Cortez head, take it to Marcel, who says he killed off other Strix, and it looks like Elijah took out the other people on Hayley's list, and then they blame Cortez and the sire line, which would make sense. I mean, that's how they would, cover this up. So Marcel says more are coming, and says they need to know if anyone comes looking for it, and Cole then sucks on a blood bag and says they need Klaus's blood to work this spell, and Freya is impressed with his magic. He says he remembers meeting her a century ago and remembers he couldn't charm her, and he says he thought that she was into women, and she says Rebecca kept her promise to fight for him, and I like that she told, I like that she told Cole all about this, because it's true. The one thing Rebecca said before she was neutralized is that she would fight, for Cole until she could, and until she couldn't anymore. So Freya says they're lucky that Davina kept her word to him. He says he needs to do right by Davina. He rizzed down the spell for her and says she has some place to be. Klaus finds Cammy and tells her Cortez is dead, and this scene with Cammy and Klaus is really sad, but it really seemed inevitable. Like, it really does make sense why we saw this. He says he's sorry she had to see the loss of lives, and she says 3 lives lives lost to spare, 30 makes sense, and says she's seen him kill before. Klaus says Aurora turned her because she thought that would make his affection for her turn cold, and he says that she's wrong and that, it's not true. And Cami says that his feelings may not have changed, but hers have. And Cami says that the part of her that loved him and hoped for his redemption was human, and it's gone completely. That's just, it's not there anymore. And she says sorry. And she says that, it kind of made her realize that. And Klaus is upset. He's near tears and rage and walks out. And now, obviously, he's really upset because and one, this does give him a reason to leave, because the thing that was keeping him in New Orleans was Cami. Cami was the person that he loves. Cami was the person there for him, and now she doesn't really love him anymore. And she goes back to brooding, then cries. And I think Cami's obviously upset that she doesn't love Klaus anymore, but she also understands that that part of her is gone. She just doesn't love him anymore, unfortunately, and it's really sad to see. It really is, and I really did feel bad for Cami and Klaus in this situation, but it made sense. I mean, Cami has a right to be angry at Klaus here, really. I mean, he was the one that killed Aurora when she wanted to be the one that did it, and that really was the thing that killed her emotional attachment to Klaus, which is really sad to see. So Cole comes back, finds Davina taking off her jewelry. She asks about his family, and he says he prefers to be there with her. Elijah finds Hayle sitting by the fire, and he hands her the list of crossed-off names and takes a seat. She crumbles it, tosses it in the fire. She tells Elijah she loves him and always has. She says Jackson knew it and died loving her anyway. She says now when she looks in, that's all she thinks about, and says out of respect for Jackson, she has to let him go. And Elijah says it seems like the right thing to do. He says he tried that too, and it didn't work, and it seems like these two are going to possibly get together now, Hayle and Elijah, which would make sense. I mean, they're really closer than ever, and now would be the time. So he walks to the room while she hangs her head, and she really needs to think about what she wants to do here. So Cole cranks up a Victoria and a Victrola, and Davina magics it to work it better. And Cole says he misses the magic but is happy to be back. He takes her in his arms and they dance. She asks if he can control his hunger, and he says he can, and says she made him better. She says there are other ways to feel the magic, pulls off his shirt, and then pulls off her dress, and they have sex, basically, which was interesting to see, definitely. I think it was the first time we saw a Davina sex scene. I mean, I think there's been other ones, but we haven't really seen a Davina sex scene before. So, Cole says that she's the best thing in his life, and Vincent then asks Cami why she lied to Klaus about her feelings, and she says that he couldn't kill Aurora, and he asks if she thinks that he still loves her, and she says that she doesn't really know if he still loves her. She wants to think that he does. I think Klaus thinks that he still loves her, but there's a part of him that just doesn't really love her anymore. And Cami says that Aurora will get out and come for her, and says she can't worry about who he'll choose. Cami says that she won't be another victim and will kill her herself, and that she's going to make sure that if Aurora comes back, she's going to be the one to kill her, and she leaves. And I can totally understand why Cami wants to do that. I mean, she's the one that's gotten her into this whole situation. Obviously, she's really upset about that. So Vincent's head feels like it's cracking. He shudders in pain, and Freya tells Klaus that the spell is done, and any witch who does a low care spell on him will think that he's in New Orleans, and Klaus tells Freya to keep Elijah in line. Klaus asks them to take Cole, and Klaus takes off with a bag in hand after kissing Freya goodbye, and basically, they're going to leave. So Klaus is going to leave. Davina sleeps beside Cole, who gets out of bed, pulls out an empty blood bag. He sucks the last bit of blood from it. And Freya and Elijah then watch Klaus leave. He's gone with Hayle and Hope with him. And Klaus says they may be gone for a long time. Hayle says there's nothing left for her here now. And Klaus says that they have that in common. They drive away. And we knew this was coming. We knew that Klaus was going to go into exile because we did see it when Caroline went to visit him in the flash forward, so it does connect to that. The thing is, the originals is not 3 years later, so I do feel there's going to be a time jump because we can't have Klaus and Hayle gone for too long. I just feel like it wouldn't really make sense for them to be gone for that, for too long, and, we can't have that happen, obviously. So they drive away, and Freya then tells Elijah will be quiet around here, and he says don't bet on it, and Vincent's then in a warehouse looking around with a flashlight. He pries up a floorboard and digs inside. He finds the last white oak bullet, and basically Cole then drinks a woman on the street, struggles to get control of his beast. Finn is there and basically, Cole drinks a woman on the street, struggles to get control of his beast. You can tell there is still that bloodlust in him, and Finn is there all of a sudden, says that there was never any hope for him because he has no self-control, and that's how the episode ends. So it seems like Klaus is in and Finn's out. Finn's going to be the one to neutralize Cole and get him to control his bloodlust, which is very interesting. So overall, guys, like I said, not my favorite episode this season. There were a lot of things. I really don't know where we are headed this season. I mean, now that Klaus and Hayle have both left town, town, which is interesting to see, and it makes sense why they had to leave. I mean, Klaus was paranoid, and Hayle, needs to figure out some things as well, so it makes sense why they have to leave. And obviously, they want to protect Hope as well, because, one of their biggest things has always been we need to protect Hope, so there's that. But I don't really know where we're headed with this, what's going to happen for the rest of this season. I'm very confused as to really where we're going. Is it going to be Elijah and Marcel now taking over things? I mean, I can't really tell exactly where we're headed. I mean, it seems like Elijah is going to take over now for Klaus, basically, and we're going to have to see what happens there. They're true, it's clear that Elijah and Freya are going to try to get away all of Klaus's sire line because they'll think he's in New Orleans and he's not going to be there, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Finn, it seems like, is going to control Cole's bloodlust, so that's going to be interesting to see. Does Davina really love Cole? I mean, Josh even asked her, do you really love this guy, or do you just want to think you loved him? Which is a very interesting question to ask, and I think it does make sense why he asked her that. Definitely interesting stuff with that. Definitely interesting seeing where that's going to go. And then Vincent now, it seems like he needs to help out Cortez, but now that Cortez is dead, well, at least they think he's dead, what's going to happen with that? I'm kind of upset that Cortez died, because it seemed like he was going to be the villain for the rest of the season, and now I don't know really what's going to happen. Last year we had a significant focus on Esther and Dahlia, and this season I don't really know where we're going, I gotta say, and it's kind of upsetting because the season started off very strong, and now that they've kind of killed all the villains of the rest of the season, I don't really know where we're headed. We'll have to see where it's gonna go. I don't really know what's gonna happen, but let me know what you guys saw this episode. Like I said, really not my favorite. Definitely other episodes I liked a lot more, but I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, and I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.